Hello, everyone. My name is Diego Alfonso, and I'm your host with the Florida Aviation Network. We are broadcasting free and in the clear from the terminal building at the Sebring Regional Airport in Sebring, Florida, during the U.S. Sport Aviation Expo 2017. Today, our guest is Shannon Yeager. He is the Director of Sales of Tecnam US. Shannon,
Yep.
welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I guess the first thing in order here to follow is tell us what is Tecnam US.
Well, Tecnam is actually, it's an Italian company, but we actually have made an investment here in the U.S., which makes it very different than a lot of other aircraft manufacturers that are obviously a lot of light sports, especially, are built overseas. They made a direct investment. The facility I work for, which is right here on the Sebring Airport, it's owned by the Italian factory. We actually bring all the aircraft in through here that are then distributed out amongst the rest of the country. That includes spare parts. That includes our US-based technical support. So we have people right here in the country that are dedicated and factory trained and are part and employees of the factory.
Okay.
So we're actually, the Tecnam US is a US subsidiary of the Italian manufacturer Costruzioni Aeronautique Tecnam.
Okay. And what is what you consider the latest, greatest thing in the company right now, Tecnam?
Well, when you look at Tecnam as a whole, it's really quite a wide expanse. We cover everything from two-place personal aircraft, you call them LSAs, that's what I call them, two-place personal aircraft. We kick those all the way up through 11-passenger commuter category aircraft. So we run the full gamut. We're actually, if you look at the gamma numbers, we're the third largest aircraft manufacturer in the world. We produced over 330 aircraft last year.
Oh.
So, you know, we're actually something to be reckoned with here. And if you take a look at our facility here in Sebring, you'll notice that our product line spans quite a range, and really we have something for everybody, from a day tripping kind of, let's go get that $100 hamburger, all the way through, well, let's actually take some stuff somewhere and go places, as well as 2 IFR aircraft and 2 twin-engine aircraft.
Oh.
So we have quite the expanse of things to deal with.
And is there anything cooking right now? I mean, do you have any new models coming?
We have lots of things that are happening. One of the biggest ones is that 11-passenger commuter aircraft. You know, we're finishing up our flight testing on that aircraft, looking for our EASA certification first. And that one's actually going to be taken out of the flight test program to go to Aero Friedrichshafen. So that will be there on display for people to see. It is a real aircraft. It really competes kind of with that Twin Otter kind of category.
Okay.
And one of the things that's unique about us, again, is not only are we bringing these things, they made an investment in the U.S., but they made an investment in Florida.
Okay.
Right here in Sebring. You know, so we're doing the outfitting of the aircraft at the end of the process, as well as all of the final test flights. And the delivery is all done through here, as well as the part supply. So they're making an investment here in Florida, not just with, yeah, we'll bring some aircraft over and hope somebody sells it for us, but physically making an investment here. And I think that's really important for those, you know, here in Florida. We're employing folks here in Florida working in the aviation sector. And I think that's an important piece to keep our industry really moving forward.
Exactly.
Because we're really at a shortage. I can't even tell you how difficult it is to find an AMP who's also willing to work on Rotax engines. That's not an interesting thing to kind of find, but we do have certified aircraft, like on our twin-engine P2006. It flies on 2 Rotax 912 S3 engines. So I need somebody who's an actual AMP. I need an IA who's willing to work on it and certify it. I also have that fun piece of let's find some DPEs who are willing to fly it and gets folks their ratings in the aircraft as well. So we are making that investment here in both the training of folks, hiring of folks, and we're really trying to get Florida and the aviation sector here moving. And I think we're one of the bright lights because we're actually moving aircraft. And,
That's right.
And we're really bringing more people into flying who've never flown before. We had 10 aircraft sales of folks who didn't even have their certificates yet and got their certificates because they came, they fell in love with the aircraft, went out flying, and then they went ahead, got their certificate. I happen to be part of 2 of those, which makes me very happy. I still like to go back and do some flight instruction on occasion because it kind of makes me feel really connected to things, and nothing prouder than both being able to see that person like a parent. There they go on that first run. You're nervous and scared for them, but so proud of them. But then also to know that it's in an aircraft that you helped bring that actually brought them into aviation. I love my 30-year-old Mooney as well as much as the other guy. Yeah. But something about having a new aircraft with new avionics and a new design that was recently done in the past 5 or 6 years, it really does make a difference. It looks automotive. It's inviting to those people as well as to their partners. Let's not forget, if we don't get those partners of those pilots both interested, feeling comfortable, feeling safe in those airplanes, how are we going to get them to let that other person buy it? Exactly. They're not going to get to buy it if your friend over here says it's not happening. So as pilots, we get to fly more if we take the opportunity to help everybody else feel comfortable flying. And that's what I believe this modern age of what we're still calling LSAs, but as the basic med takes in, you're going to see more and more people dealing like I am, that these are 2-place personal aircraft. We've had it already happen in the past 2 months. I've had 4 people purchase aircraft from us, had no problem getting a medical. That's not the reason they bought it. They looked at their options. I could buy something with 4 seats that, well, you can't really use the other 2 most of the time anyway. That's going to cost you about $100,000 more than this, but it's going to be 30 years old, and I got to put ADS-B in and out on it. I've got to upgrade the panel. I'm going to have to overhaul the engine. I'm not sure when I take the wing caps off, what's it going to look like in there? Right. Some wiring issues. Or I can get something with a 3-year warranty and 400 hours. Which one are you going to do?
Right.
So people, again, that are coming into aviation, it does take more than, again, I still own my 30-year-old Moody, even though I still own Tecnams too.
Yeah.
But I will tell you that when we're flying that, you don't get quite the same feeling for a new person stepping in than they do in these newer aircraft. So I think what we have coming down the pipe is we've updated things. I have a new model sitting over there. It's called the Sierra Mark II. The Sierra Mark II is actually a popular aircraft that we have. We have about 200 of them flying in the United States now. It's called the P2002 Sierra. We've updated the model with a better canopy and new cowling, new avionics, and new interior to get that modern automotive feel, but at the same time fix some of those problems. Like with some other LSAs too, if you get in the airplane and you try to close the canopy, what happens? Sometimes you got to look your head to the side. Oh, we've made that, we've fixed that. Now if you're 6'7", you can get in it, the canopy slides over and drops down in front of you, so it fits you better. It goes the full 120 knots that are allowable, all on the 912 ULS engine that makes it very economical to go out and fly. Because sometimes just because we have the money and we could go and spend more and go fly more with the money, I don't feel right sometimes burning 14, 16, 18 gallons an hour just to go for 100 nautical miles. I just don't feel right sometimes doing that. So sometimes I feel a little better getting out there. I might show up 10 minutes later, but you know what? I only burn 4.5 gallons an hour to get that whole thing done.
Exactly.
So our focus as we coming in, we've introduced now, we have a low wing and a high wing model we have one of each that is a economical day tripper of each one. Then we have a luxury tour version of each one, a high wing and a low wing. And then we have 2 standard category aircraft, a 4-place single that, guess what, has 3 doors on it, and you can get in from any side. It can do MoGas out of the box, not an STC. You just buy it and it can do MoGas.
Right.
We also have our P2006 twin, and then now again, like I said, we're finishing up our P2012 Traveler. So really lots of exciting things coming from Tecnam, because if you look around the industry, can you tell me anybody else who's certified a brand new something or other every year for the past 8 years? Mm-mm. I think we're the only ones doing it.
Yeah.
So you can see we're not only investing in the future and design, but we're actually bringing designs forward that people want because we listen to our customers. All of our designs are informed by customers. They're not informed by a couple engineers going, boy, that would sure look pretty cool and that would go fast. It's by the things that people have said they wanted. This company listens. It's a 3rd generation family company. It's been in business since 1948. We got our 68th year in business. That's pretty impressive.
Yes, yes.
You know, so when you look at it, we have the longevity. We've never been owned by anybody else either. Chinese don't own us either.
Right.
So when you look at it, we've got nothing bad about that for other folks, but the thing is a family company who works kind of in the design build space. We wait for what people want, and then we're producing that. We're not going, here's this, and we're going to shove this model at you. So as a salesperson, as a pilot, because I just want to see people in the air.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much I love the fact when somebody comes to me and they tell me, hey, what do you got for me? I don't have to say, well, I've got this aircraft. This is the best thing since sliced bread, and you're going to love this one. I can ask the question. So tell me how you fly. Where do you go? Who comes with you? Do you plan on going with your significant other, or is your family going? Or do you plan on flying IFR? What is it like? Is the heat a problem for you? Do you care about the sun? And then I can fit them into the appropriate aircraft for their flying and to make their significant other and their family comfortable to fly with them. I'm not shoehorning them in to the one model that I have. I've got lots of things to deal with. So it really lets you move all around the space. So we have so much going on. I just encourage people to please come on down to Sebring sometime. We are right here in Florida. We'd love to take you on a facility tour, let you fly what you want to fly, because again, you think you might want the high wing, but you look at that low wing and go, that's pretty good too. I'll take you up in the high wing, then we'll go fly the low wing, darn it. We'll go see what fits you. And that's what's so fantastic.
They can make a choice too.
That's right. They make a choice of what fits them.
Right.
And I think that's been one of our problems for aviation before is, you know, we had a model by this person and a model by that person. So if you came to buy it, as a salesperson, I have to kind of go, oh, this is the best one. Well, you don't really care about that. You care about this. I don't have to tell them what they care about.
Right.
Which means at the end of the day, I can say that 54 new families asked last year in the United States, in here, are flying, which would not have been flying this time if they didn't come and see us. They're now flying aircraft. And that's what we want, right?
Exactly.
All of our businesses thrive. All of our industry thrives because, I'll be frank, I'm selfish in this. Because I know that if I don't get more people flying, I'm not going to be able to fly, am I?
Right.
See what I mean? So at the end of the day, it's all kind of selfish. But, you know, really, I want to see people flying. And I love flying everything. And I've flown over 100 aircraft types in my life. And everything from a DC-3 down to these two-place personal aircraft, right? And I love them all. And that's what we're trying to get to.
Well, here's the thing. Now, let me see if I get this right. The aircraft is built in Italy.
Correct.
And is shipped here or flown here?
No, they're shipped. So what happens is they're actually built. Then they're test flown one time to make sure, well, we got everything pretty well good. They actually disassemble it.
Okay.
Then it comes in the container and comes over here.
Okay.
Because in Europe, they actually fly as CSVLA over there. They fly as microlight. And in fact, we're one of the few, what we call light sport here. We're in more than 60 countries. Because in some countries, we go in as a microlight, advanced ultralight, LSA, or sometimes we go in as a CSVLA capable of, you know, night flight in Europe is kind of the same as IFR here, right? So we have those same, what we call two-place personal aircraft here. They fly in that over there. So even if we have this change that where we're going to a Part 23 rewrite, great for me, because we're already being produced in EASA certificated production facility. We can go ahead and we can bring ourselves into standard category if we need to. Also, the argument really is still there that these aircraft are viable alternatives because we all know 90% of our missions are flown solo or with one person maximum, and these still do it. So we have the chance to get people out and get flying in modern aircraft that they want to be a part of and be comfortable. So we take the aircraft over here, they get reassembled, we put the airworthiness certificate on it here, I take it up for a production test flight, make sure things are good. We give them the transition training, part of the package. Transition training is included, so we know that they're safe flying this aircraft out, and they know it well. Because at the end of the day, too, I want them to market it for me, too, don't I? So they're going to market it for me, and they're going to say, you know, this is great, and they're going to tell all their friends, because I've been here now, my third-year anniversary with Tecnam is going to be at Sun and Fun. And we already have, this past year's aircraft, 10 of our units from last year were because of direct referral from other people. And I think that says something.
Of course. We
didn't have to advertise for it, because again, you don't see us a lot of times advertising too much here at Tecnam, because we let our aircraft speak. We just say, come on down and come and visit us, and we know, fly whatever you want before you come see us, because we know you're going to leave with one of ours.
Now, one question. How about fitting them with avionics? What kind of avionics would they be able to fit them with?
Well, what we have is we try to keep things consolidated, because one of the other problems I've seen in the LSA market is they let the customers choose a little too much.
Okay.
And if you make them different for everybody, how do you support that?
Right.
If you don't have a consistent wiring diagram, if you don't have a consistent way, when they call in for support, I know what you got, that's difficult to support. And at the end of the day, the customer who thinks they're getting something actually has a problem down the road, or the second customer has a problem down the road. So we've standardized on 3 basic configurations. One is a 6-pack with a Garmin 796 in the middle with a 345 transponder. The Middle range that we have is a Dynon Skyview Touch, 2 10-inch screen, everything behind the panel kind of system. Then we have the G3X Touch with, of course, everything behind the panel system as well. What I found recently is interesting is the price difference between the Dynon and the Garmin are getting kind of close. Okay. So we've also found recently that most of our customers have been choosing the Garmin G3X. I'd say almost 90% of our aircraft are delivering with the G3X Touch. Even though there's definitely a price bump to put that in there, that's what people are choosing.
Great. Now, there's another thing that I would like to ask you now, and it has to do with your background. Mm-hmm. So why don't you take us back as far as you can go to that magic moment in which you decided to become a pilot? What happened there, and why did it happen?
Oh, well, becoming a pilot was definitely something I always wanted to do since I was little. Unfortunately, since I didn't have the money to be able to do it in the beginning,
welcome to the club.
I know. So I started out as many did, which unfortunately really isn't an option much anymore. I was helping out around the FBO.
Right.
A little bit here and there. I caught a few rides because back then we didn't have fences, and I could go up to somebody and I could say, hey, if I help you take the oil out of that, could you take me up for a ride? A little bit of that happened, and as I got a little older, I actually became a skydiver. I had about 3,500 skydives, and I found out that if I learned to fly and go up front, I could skydive for free. So I learned to fly so I could start skydiving, but then I found out as I got a little older and I had a computer business, I found out that getting to my business meetings as well as my engineering meetings, it really helped out being a pilot. And then from there, I actually became a CFI because I needed to train the engineers that work for me to be pilots, because for my company, It was very beneficial for us to fly GA. Because we had to be at a physical site with a set of servers to fix them, and we had to have engineers there that knew how to do it. So what better way to do that than to have them fly themselves instead of wasting an extra day each side of the project, flying commercial and all that. So we saved money by professionally training the pilots so they could get themselves to the job, and then the pilot became the person doing the job, so I wasn't paying a separate pilot and all that. So we had some barons that did a lot of our work for us there, and that was really it. And then, of course, once I was able to do that, I started flying other airplanes. Everything from Lancer 360, helped build an RV6, RV4. My passion, though, is round radials. I really enjoy them, so I got a lot of time in T6.
That sound.
There's something about it. It's magical. It's magical. And then, again, I actually have a PIC rating in a DC-3 as well.
Wow.
So I try to mosey around. I do have an ATP. I'm one of those few people over 12,000 hours. I never flew for a commercial airline, and I have an ATP. I did fly a little bit of light turbojet stuff for business purposes, but just love anything that's got wings on it. You don't even have to have an engine now. It's got wings on it. I'm good to go. Not so much in the rotary wing, but, we're out there.
Yeah, I'm not too much of a helicopter kind of guy.
But I really found both the usefulness of it and having that experience of flying so many different types of aircraft. When I say that these aircraft, these two-place personal aircraft are truly viable, I really think back to all the missions I've flown over the years.
Yeah.
What's the difference in me flying it, whether I'm flying, because I have a great time in a tail aircraft, I have a good time in an Aranca Champ, that's great stuff, but this goes a whole lot faster, even more comfortable, but yet my operating costs are about what the Champ costs to operate. Now granted, it's going to be a little more to buy it than the Champ is, but when you look at it, it really is it's the way to go, because even for business, all the times I use mine for a purpose, I still can really say that only 15 to 20% of my missions were there really many people with me.
That's right. That's right.
And let's just get in the air and go have fun. And if you've been to the commercial airport recently, it would surely be nice to bypass a lot of that stuff. And even in Florida especially. And I think it's funny because the way that I got the lawyers off my back to let me fly for the business was a very simple prospect. We had 3 prospects that had to meet the same day. One in Miami, one in Jacksonville, and one in Pensacola. And they told me I wasn't allowed to fly my aircraft on the business because the lawyers said no. And then I called them up and said, well, these are 3 very large opportunities. Can you tell me which 2 you don't want me to do? And they said, well, can't you just take a commercial flight and get them all in? Can't do it in one day, guys.
No.
But if you let me fly, I can pick them all up in one day and we can do it. And they ended up letting me, and we got 2 of the 3 accounts. So from that point forward, they told the lawyers, hey, you're going to let this guy do this. The lawyers said, well, if he goes and gets a commercial rating, maybe we'll let him do it. And then from there, that became the standard. So then I became a CFI and trained my other employees to come up to the commercial standard or higher, so that we could utilize the aircraft in the business.
Great.
And that's all for Florida.
Now, when you mentioned DC-3, I flew for PBA. You
you did. Oh, fantastic.
Did you remember PBA?
Yeah. I told you I was born and raised in Florida too, so you know. I see things-
Sarasota, I think you said.
Sarasota, that's right. That's right.
And we served the whole state.
Yes,
you know,
you did.
I was based in Pensacola at the time.
And they still fly a couple of them now, still doing some island runs. They still got
Yeah.
a couple alive down there flying out of Opelika.
Yeah, we were the largest DC-3 operator in the world. We had at one point we had total of 24 and 19 active
Wow.
that they were flying every day.
Well, here's the funny part I always think of is when somebody comes to you and they go, man, I just spent a lot of oil on last week, and you think of the DC-3 and you pull that dipstick out and you go, 24 gallons, we can't take off yet. I need another 3.
That's right.
You know, it definitely comes across, and oh man, I gotta load a little more, and that's per side.
Yes, that's
per
right.
side. You need 25 gallons per side to take off. 50
Check
gallons oil.
check the gas and top the oil.
Yep. Don't forget to jump up onto the wing beam and get up there. You know, so I do love those things.
So you did most of your training here in Florida.
Yeah, I did actually. My initial training was over in Sarasota at Cirrus Aviation. Was actually who did my initial training.
Okay.
And then I moved up very rapidly. Believe it or not, I rented an aircraft because I needed it for business. I rented a Piper Arrow. Can you imagine a rental charge on a Piper Arrow? I did 300 hours in 1 year renting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, before I found, you know, you really got to buy an airplane to make that make sense. You know, so doing a lot, and like I still have a Mooney at this point. In my Mooney, I put about 300 hours a year still on that because I fly over from Sarasota to Sebring every day for work.
Oh, every day for work.
Every day for work. So when I'm over here, I might be flying the Tecnam over, I might be flying the Mooney over. Sometimes there's a decathlon in there, and we'll see who flies what. But I do have a couple of Tecnams as well.
You have a whole variety of airplanes at your command, so
That's
to speak.
Right. That's right. And if you look in our, like I said, come by and take a look in our hangar. You'll really be impressed with the variety. We have tail dragger options.
I will.
Amphibs. I love it. We got a Sea Sky. We can put that sucker on amphibs. A lot of fun. We just sold one to a gentleman over in Boca. He's got one of our Sea Skies on amphibs. Lots of fun running around here in the state.
Doesn't get better than that. You know, you can do the water, you can do the.
And you can strap your fishing poles along the bottom strut.
That's
Put 'em
right.
in and fantastic.
And go somewhere to the Bahamas and pull up to one of those beautiful islands and enjoy that whole day. But you know, going back to the newer aircraft, in comparison to the old, you know, like your 30-year Mooney, which is a great airplane.
Yes.
I mean, I love that airplane. But the new technology plays a lot too in the confidence of the pilot.
It does. You know, we grew up flying with those round things in front of us, right? Now I will tell you, it's awfully intimidating. You think back to what you had to mentally go through to get prepared for that. What's wrong? I don't see anything wrong if we put the glass panel in front of them. Yeah, it's not as hard as it was for us. We should get over that crap.
Yeah.
And just let them have fun and go up and fly, because they're going to feel more confident, which means they're going to fly more, which of course selfishly means I can still keep flying.
That's right.
Right? That's how it all works. It all comes back to me at the end, right? But I'm happy, very excited that we have that technology, and I do get upset when I hear people say, oh, they should have to learn on the round dials first. You know what? If they're never going to fly it, why are they got to see it?
That's right.
I agree. Ours was a lot harder. We had to fly that homing ADF. I get it. It was a pain. But, you know, we don't have to do that anymore. So why do we have to put them through that struggle? We should make it easier. If we can lower that bar a bit and get them to come in and start flying with us, then we're all going to be better off.
Of course. Now, you said another thing that is very important, and it took me back to my early days of flying, and that was that if you can do something with a two-place, why do you want to go, if you can do something with 10 gallons an hour, why do you want to burn 20 gallons an hour? And we used to refer to that as why you want to pay for the same real estate twice.
That's the way it is.
Because that's exactly what you're doing. You're covering the same amount of ground, only at twice the cost.
Do I love a bonanza? Absolutely. But you know what? I don't need to burn 18 an hour, and I can get the same place, show up 5-10 minutes later. I don't know if it's worth it.
That's right. Well, listen, we have come to the end of the show. However, before we sign off, can I give you some advice?
Oh, please.
I think you need to show a little bit more passion.
Oh, yes.
Because
I know it's tough for the camera guys because I move around a lot. I hate
it
when
seems to me that you're lacking enthusiasm. So
I know.
if you can conquer that, you'll be great.
Sounds good.
And for our folks out there in cyberspace, this is Diego Alfonso signing off with the Florida Aviation Network.